Hey everybody, I'm your ProjectCoe.com staff writer Justin Joseph, and hopefully this time my volume isn't unbelievably low, and it shouldn't be, which is a good thing since I don't want you blasting your speakers and waking everybody up just to hear me. Anyway, as I promised at the end of my previous video for Bully Scholarship Edition, today I'm here to offer up the goods on an interesting little Nintendo DS title. If gorgeous FMVs, great voice acting, and CSI-style investigation gameplay intrigue you, then Insecticide for the DS might be worth a try. On the flip side, not everything else turns out so hot. Now before I start, you'll have to forgive me for the lack of real-time gameplay footage this video has. Our usual source for material unfortunately has very little respect for this game, so you'll have to deal with mostly cinematic content. Nonetheless, you're seeing part of what this game offers, and that's what matters the most. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Insecticide is not only the game's title, but it's also the name of the insect police division that our star characters work for. Chrysalis, and bear with me if I mispronounce her name, is a four-legged female bug with a mysterious past, and her senior partner, Rochi Carruthers, has been with the force for over 30 years. The pairing is responsible for investigating a murder that's occurred during the pre-production phase of a commercial slated to advertise the new flavor of a soft drink line. Company matriarch Quinby is the one who phones in the untimely event, and it's up to you to help Chris and Rochi get to the bottom of it all. This plot isn't the biggest mental teaser ever, but it's charming enough to keep you somewhat interested throughout the campaign. At its core, Insecticide combines elements of platforming, third-person shooting, and point-and-click Phoenix Wright-style investigation, all into an amazing and not-so-amazing 3D DS title. Visually, this game lies on two spectrums. On one side, I have the utmost respect for the effort behind Crackpot's FMVs, as they're the most beautiful I've seen on the portable, not only looking exceptionally clean and polished, but really bringing the world to life. On the opposite end, the real-time graphics leave a bit to be desired. I'll give the game props for having varied mission environments, but even then, the overall style and detail is dull and bland, and enemy designs are repeated far too often. This kind of quality range applies to everything else too, which is why Insecticide is such a mixed disappointment. In light of the audio, we have amusing and convincing voice work that's heard during those FMVs I just mentioned, and the music style is actually pretty darn sweet. However, the sound effects all around are nothing special, and in the case of those tunes, they're too noticeably looped, causing a strange sense of deja vu when going from mission to mission. Now for that gameplay, which again features a little bit of a lot. Platforming, third-person shooting, and investigating all take place in this 3D insect world, and some is rather fun, while the rest basically isn't. The first item isn't so bad. I mean, it's nothing like Mario or Ratchet & Clank for sure, but the levels are laid out in such a way that makes hopping from point A to B a standard experience. However, a good number of locations force you to make way across what I coin as balance beams, and thanks to some spotty code, it's not surprising to often find yourself falling to your death, even from 10 feet off the ground. The shooter engine fares a great deal worse unfortunately, and it's especially discouraging given how much it's used in this game. I don't know where Crackpot was looking for inspiration, but the formula they came up with just doesn't work well. Chris's Y-axis rotation is ridiculously slow, even on max turning sensitivity. You can't really strafe, despite there being button and stylus control modes, and to top it all off, killing your enemies just isn't very exciting because most would end up using the button setup lock-on function by pressing B, so all you do is focus and spam the fire trigger. Enemies often spawn within 15 or so feet of you, and every time you do the same bloody thing to take them out. You shoot your weapon, jump or double jump to dodge the return fire, and simply wait until your aggressor falls. This may not sound like much of an issue, but trust me, if you're hardcore about your shooters, Insecticide will leave you scratching your head. Thus I arrive at the investigation aspects, which thankfully fare quite a bit better. While certainly nothing complex, which you should understand given my Phoenix Wright reference, it's still cool to take a gander at crime or crime-related sequences to gather up the necessary evidence for you to proceed. These sequences won't bust your brain, except for maybe an overlook or two during the first major situation, but Crackpot was creative enough to possibly have you say, "Oh, neat," once or twice, before all is said and done. That's why it's such a shame that the platforming and shooter elements aren't executed so well. Some flawed games have features to fall back on, but Insecticide really doesn't. It's too bad, really. The story may be relatively interesting and the investigation mechanics are cool, but when the 6 to 9 hours of playtime make the rest of the game feel like a chore, which is a good 50% if not more, then you may be inclined to look the other way. I've scored Insecticide a 6.2 for Project CUE since it's not a bad game, but easily nothing all that good either. If you wish to try this one out, by all means do so, but don't say I didn't warn ya. So it's unfortunate that not all games are destined to be AAA, but that's part of what makes this job so interesting, and a little easier. We take a good deal of time reviewing games that are great, and less for those that aren't so much. So thank you for checking this out, and please take a look at my full written review if you have a minute or two. It's been a pleasure as usual, and down the line, look forward to reviews for NHL 09, Condemned 2 Bloodshot, and Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword from yours truly on behalf of the one and only ProjectCUE.com. Until then, have a good one, and I'll see you soon.